Hi there, and welcome to the PALS podcast mini-series where we will be chatting to the different student services on offer at QMU. I'm Megan, and a fourth year business management student and PALS leader at QMU. And I'm here with Rebecca Clacy-Jones from the Careers and Employability Service. So hi, Rebecca.
Hi, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely. So in today's podcast, we're talking about what happens when you book an appointment, when to start thinking about your career options. And I think the point that we really want to stress is it's not a thing that you think about in your fourth year. So you can contact a careers advisor, at any point in your university career, and the sooner the better.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes you kind of think, oh, well, I'll think about my career when I get to fourth year. I'll go and talk to a careers advisor when I need a CV. But actually, some of the things that we'll talk about today will be about actually, if you're in first year, how can you, what are good things to talk to a careers advisor about? So that would be good too.
So maybe we should start off with, how do students get in touch with a careers advisor?
Sure. So if you want to book an appointment with a careers advisor, we're running face-to-face and online appointments still at the moment, and that will be a kind of hybrid as we go through the year. So you log into Student Central, and the other student services teams have got Student Central pages too. Ours, the careers page is all singing or dancing because we also advertise jobs and we advertise events. So it's a really good place to find resources as well as to book an appointment. But you'll go into the booking page, there'll be a drop-down list and you'll have the names of all of the careers advisors. And you can see any of us. We're not aligned to particular courses or specialisms. You can choose us based on whether you like our name or whether you've met us in your course or whatever. Choose a drop-down box and it will give us all of the availability. And then once you've booked in, you either come for a face-to-face appointment up to the student services reception area, which you can see from Starbucks, or we will give you a call via Teams. The other way to get in contact is to send us an email. We've got a careers@QMU inbox. And quite often students will contact us by email first to say, can I come and talk to you about, or can you have a look at my CV? And we're happy to either continue that conversation through email, which works better for some people, or we might direct you to some additional resources, or we might tell you to book an appointment. And we've got social media. We love social media. We love to connect with students on LinkedIn. You can come to our Instagram page in particular, seems to be kind of growing in popularity. So wherever you might think we will be, we'll be there, popping up, talking about careers.
Yeah, and what I think is quite good about the booking system for careers is you can actually decide what you want to discuss. When I was booking an appointment with you, Rebecca, that's something that I really liked. And it's quite interesting that actually, although at first I came to you looking for internships, that sort of evolved into interview preparation. We did mock interviews and then that CV prep as well. So it really was an all-rounder.
And I think also, I think we're connected on LinkedIn, Megan, aren't we? And I think sometimes actually LinkedIn is such a really useful professional networking tool to start to kind of define your professional working self, to make contacts. And actually a great place to start on LinkedIn is to connect with a careers advisor. So just going back a step to when you were talking about the section of the booking system where you can kind of almost set out what your appointment is about. I also just want to say there that it's okay if you don't know what you want your appointment to be about. Actually, you're just kind of having some big career questions. What am I doing here? What's my next step? There's a career options button that you can choose. But actually, even if you choose that you want a mock interview, and actually by the time you get to the session, actually it's something else that you want to talk about, then that's totally fine too. What will generally happen in a session is that the advisor will talk to you a bit to start with about what it is that you've come to the appointment with. And like I say, it could be something really specific, like you were really interested in internships, and it could be that you've got a CV, you've got a live application. It could be that you've got a general idea of what it is that you want to do either now or when you graduate. and you kind of want to put a plan together.
Mm.
Or it could be those bigger questions of, I have no idea what I want to do next. So we can work kind of at the level that you're at. And then generally what the careers advisor will do once they've got a bit of a sense of what's important to you is that the two of you will kind of agree a structure for the session. And I mean, I think I quite often would spend a little bit of time getting to know the student I'm working with, understanding what they like, what's important to them, their ideas, and then we might kind of look at where they want to be in the future, what they're trying to achieve, whether that's an internship, whether it's a part-time job, whether it's a graduate career destination. And then we'd work together to work out a kind of plan for how we go forwards. I think that's what we probably did when I first met you.
Definitely. And I think as well, it's comforting to know that, there's someone else in it with you. You've got all these questions and you're maybe really unsure what you want to do. For me, I had no clue where to start with looking for internships. So it was really good sort of having a plan and someone else to bounce ideas off of. And things like that can be a really good support system, especially when you maybe feel like you're unprepared for the world of work in a way. So
yeah, that's really good to hear. And I think what we try and do is kind of provide some of that advice and some of those ideas in lots of different ways. So we offer kind of workshops, drop-in sessions, and the kind of webinars where we tell you how we think things will work and help you to put things together. But then almost once you've got a bit of a flavour for something like LinkedIn, you can then book an appointment and we can go through a LinkedIn profile together. We can look at how you've worded things, how you're presenting the information about yourself on your profile. But we can also look at some of those kind of braver steps with LinkedIn, like how do you approach an employer that you might be interested in an internship with or working with? How do you demonstrate that you're the kind of person that they would be interested in? And we can do that kind of process either through an appointment or send a message. If you want to connect with the careers advisor on LinkedIn, drop a personalized message and ask one of us to review your profile, and we can do it that way as well. So you can listen to us talk about things that we're interested. We can have a discussion about it, and we can connect you with other resources that might be useful. And that kind of goes with things like LinkedIn, CVs, interview preparation, graduate assessment centres for graduate schemes, psychometric testing, all of those kind of things that you might be coming up to face. We've usually got some materials or some advice in that area.
Yeah, and I think one of the pieces of advice that you had given me that I hadn't really considered when we're talking about going for internships, thinking about these graduate roles, is that it's not just about your grades in university, and that a lot of employers these days, they want to see that you're doing these extracurricular activities and how you use your time outside university. And that's something that's really stuck with me.
Yeah, and the way I like to think about it is almost from when you start university, the end goal is that by the time you get to the end, you'll be in the best position to get a graduate job or to start your own business or to work freelance or to go on to further study. But that almost you've got that 4 years to work on the project of being ready to do what happens next.
Yeah.
And there are loads of things that you can do to put yourself in the best position. So thinking about what you can do to enhance what you're learning and discovering on your course. So things like internships, work experience, placements, job shadowing. And I think sometimes just talking to somebody else about some of the things that you've got in a space that's kind of safe, because I think sometimes people feel a little bit uncomfortable about, oh, I have to go and talk about all the things that I've done that are really good. And naturally in our lives, we don't walk around saying, oh, I'm really brilliant at this, I'm great at this. But actually having that space with a careers advisor where you've got somebody else who's just encouraging you to pull out all the things that you have done that are great, and also to talk about them in a way that gives evidence that isn't just me saying, oh, I'm brilliant at teamwork. It's about, how do I find examples of what I've done in the past? How do I structure an example that I'm telling an employer so that they understand that I really am good at this? It's not just an empty statement and I'm just sprinkling glitter everywhere to say how brilliant I am. And it's really, really interesting process, I think, to go to look at how the experience that maybe you've done in a part-time job, let's say in hospitality, or some volunteering work that you might have done something somewhere else. Actually, well, how does that relate to what an employer is looking for? And sometimes with students, I'll sit down and look at a job description for something they're interested in, and we'll just have a conversation about, well, this is what the employer is looking for here. Let's have a think about what you've done. How can you match those things up? How can you pull out those highlights and put them into a CV or a job application so an employer can see instantly that you do have the skills and the experiences for the job?
Yeah. And I think that's something that students, they maybe take on that burden themselves. They don't realise that there's people and resources there to help them with that.
Definitely, definitely. And almost at whatever stage you're at in your preparation, and if we go back to interviews as well, actually, we see some students who are really, really nervous, who've never had an interview before, who don't really know where to start. And we're really happy to work at that kind of early stage of getting into interview preparation. And actually, it's a safe space. You can make mistakes, you can try things out, you can try and answer the same question 3 or 4
Exactly.
times.
Yeah.
And we're kind of giving you a sounding board, helping you to tease out what works well and what doesn't work so well, so that you feel comfortable in putting that together. So it isn't like we're just the last stop when you've got a nice shiny interview game all prepped and ready to go. You know, come and you know, make some mistakes with us, and that's okay too. So yeah, we're flexible to adapt to whatever stage that you're at. And generally we're a pretty friendly bunch, we're pretty approachable. There's 4 of us in the team, me, and then there's Juan and Marion and Charlotte, and again, you can come and talk to any of us, you know, regardless of what course you're at or what stage you're at in your studies. I've put together kind of 5 tips that I think are things that you can get started on in your first year to start thinking about your career journey. So the first one, and we've probably touched on some of these already, but the first one is join LinkedIn. It's a professional networking site, so it's different from Facebook and Instagram, and you might want to think about using it in a different way. But it's really useful to start to collect your contacts and to start to build your network. So start by connecting with your classmates, with your program teams, program leaders, with careers advisors, and if you have any visiting lecturers, if you do any part-time work, you can kind of collect all of your contacts together. But you can also use it to learn about real life jobs in industries that you might be considering, understand what's happening in industries, in what's innovative, what's new, what's exciting, what inspires you. So I think join LinkedIn. Look or think about part-time work. A lot of the skills that you'll develop in part-time work, if it's in hospitality, if it's in care work, if it's an administration role, are going to prepare you for not only that process of applying for jobs and getting them, but also how do you collect evidence that you're going to be good at those things that graduate employers are needing for. Join a club or society. And I think this can be a really great way to demonstrate that you're interested sometimes in leadership skills, that you're good at organising events, that you're good at working with people, that you're good at forming networks and putting things together. And I think, again, it's another way to build those connections. I mean, there are still people that I know from my studies, 2 different degrees in 2 different places, that I have collected because of those relationships who've helped me with my future career. So I think that works really well too. And considering volunteering, tip number 4, quite often volunteer work can be really flexible. It can fit around your studies. It doesn't have to take a huge amount of your time. It's a great way to demonstrate that you're interested in other people. And again, it can be a really good way to get kind of high level experience. Like if, for example, you wanted to work in social media for a charity, or you're interested in project management or finance or leadership, or you're interested in using your skills, you know, in healthcare, or being in a charity will give you an opportunity to work at a different level. And I think that gives you a different perspective, so that works well. And then the 5th one is to start a personal development journal. It doesn't have to be like a fancy leather-bound book or anything. It can just be a note on your phone. But every time you do something that you enjoy, you read an article that you think is interesting, you get a good mark for grade, for a report, or you have an interesting conversation, write a note down, and every now and again just read through and start to get a bigger picture of, well, actually, what do I want to do when I graduate? What am I good at? What are the gaps in my experience, and how can I fill that? So I think they're kind of 5 tangible, kind of real things that you can do in first year, and careers advisors are happy to help you with any of that, and to help you formulate a plan for other things that you might want to do.
Yeah. So those are really practical tips, and hopefully a wee taster of what the careers service can offer. Remember that you can get in touch with the careers service by booking an appointment with the careers advisor through Student Central. And you can also set up your preferences so that you can actually receive relevant jobs in the newsletter. And these are really tailored to you. Also, keep an eye out for drop-in sessions and workshops on the Careers and Employability social media pages. You can also follow PALS QMU on Instagram to listen to our other podcasts in the Student Services mini-series, where we chat to the Disability Service, Wellbeing, student funding, counselling and the Effective Learning Service.